So first up is Jack. Jack, come on up. He's going to give us an update on the IPMX activity group, and I think talk about some things going on next week. Take it away.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to stand out here so I don't have to stand behind the podium there and I can see you better. So I'd like to talk with you about the IPMX activity group and what we're doing here. So the chairs are myself and Jean LaPierre. We meet every week on Tuesdays at 8 a.m. Pacific time. You can contact myself or Bob Roll, and that may end up being Tina at some point here that we move to that. But if you would like to be part of that, just contact us and we'll make you part of the group. It is a set of technical recommendations that specifies the timing. They're called TR10 documents, but it specifies the timing and how to make everything work with IPMX. It will interwork with 2110, but does not require a PTP clock. That's one of the big things about it. And we are working with the JTNM and with AMWA. This is the roster of people that are participating in this, so it's a pretty big roster of people. We've been working on it, I think, nearly 3 years now for it. So we're coming along, as you'll see here. We're really pretty close to the end. So here, this shows you the status of all the documents. There are about 12 of them here. And you can see where we started to work. Let's see, this laser, I think, does work, right? Right here. Yeah, so this is the work that has been started. This minimum requirements for IPMX would be like the TR 1001 kind of document. So that's probably the last document that we would work on. That's why we really haven't started any work on that. We're in the process of finalizing all but 3 of these here. And most of them have been submitted here, as you can see, for a review and approval by the board. And some are already posted on the website. We will be giving a revision to that. And then there's going to be a Dirty Hands workshop next week. So we're going to try to see if, if there are any issues. We're going to try to validate the standard. We're going to try to make everybody interoperate at this event. And then if there are any things that we find, then we will finalize that, and then they will become fully released documents. Okay? So the targeting publishing by NAB, that's our goal of this year. There's going to be a formal IPMX interop next week here at the NFL on Monday through Thursday. It is going to be a dirty hands kind of a workshop where we're going to, try to interoperate, fix things as we go along. If there are any issues, people can change code and so on. So it's not a certification or validation program. It is to validate the standards rather than to certify the products. This will be at the NFL, which is just a few miles from here. We did have a demonstration downstairs of all of this. Hopefully you stopped by to see it. And it was using all the aspects of this. Did not have a PTP clock. And everything was interworking and connecting with NMOS. These are the companies that participated in this demonstration we had. And the IPMX demonstration really showed the main parts of the TR10, which are the receiver timing pieces of this. IPMX senders and receivers were being connected with NMOS, and the network contained no PTP. So we wanted to prove that all that would work. And here's a diagram of what we did downstairs during the demonstration. And that's the end. Are there any questions? Yes, you have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I saw that on that last slide, you had a lot of HDMI sources and destinations. Is IPMX handling DHCP end-to-end? Because it burns us every time. HDCP, sorry.
HTTP?
Yeah.
Oh, the
Content protection.
content
Yes.
protection for it, yes. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so what is your question about it?
So your encoders there, do they handle HDCP properly and it's like end-to-end, transmission?
Yes, for the HDMI interface, yes. So that is part of it, and that standard is fully released and on the VSF website. So it will handle it, and that's one of the things that we're going to be testing to verify that that works. Have I answered your question?
Okay, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Great. Yes, sir.
Kentara Dolby. Is there any intention to send all or some subset of these specifications to SMPTE for standardization? Do you think that's needed in this case for?
Brad will answer your question here. I knew this question would come up.
How you doing, Ken? So the answer is there have been in-depth discussions about that. In fact, I had breakfast this morning with regard to that. I'll be quite blunt and say that regardless of whether we go to the SMPTE with some or all of this or none of it, that this work is going forward full speed, that we will publish these TRs when they hit the street and they're published. We're going to have this workshop next week to iterate out any technical issues with it, that it'll be ready to adopt, and we're going to actively market the technology as ready to go. And I want to be as unambiguous as I can about that because, frankly, I think, and I'll just be very blunt here, I think there's a feeling that sometimes if something hits the SMPTE, then all implementers stop because they assume, well, it's not done, right? And this is not a technology that we can wait on. And I think I've had discussions with the executive board of the SMPTE about this as well. So I'm not airing any dirty laundry here. It's just a reality in the industry. So there are ongoing discussions about if and when we would take some of this to the SMPTE. Current thinking generally is that there are some components of it, for example, the timing part, that really could benefit from being locked down as a SMPTE standard and be one of those things that's really a bedrock that other VSF and other organizations, TRs and other things build on. So I think we see that there could be some benefit in that. I'll be perfectly candid in my assessment. I think that there's challenges, and I have some concerns about that and timelines. And I think everybody knows what happened with the 2110 revision, 5-year review and all of that too, right? And I'll just come back again to say we can't really, however many years, I hear people throwing out different figures for a number of years. But anyway, I believe that I am accurately conveying concerns that manufacturers have voiced to me about the urgency of getting this work out and into products and rolling. So long-winded answer, but I did want to take it straight on because I personally get a lot of questions about, well, is this going to the SMPTE? And I think the answer is not black and white. So I wanted to give some
You've answered
some
my question. Thanks, Brad.
Okay.
Second part of the question was, do you foresee some, you mentioned the dirty hands are not really validating products, just technology. Do you see some product validation labeling for these similar to JT-Min tested coming down the road? That'd be good, Brad.
I'll take
You
that.
want to answer it? Sure.
I'll take
I
that.
can answer it as well. Go ahead.
Well,
Go for it.
no, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that at some point we will probably have some type of program much like what you're discussing. We would probably work through the JT&M organization to have something. There may be some group or something like that would help do this testing, but I would anticipate that this would happen in the future. I don't know. Am I accurate in what I've stated?
I think yes and.
Okay.
Yes and. Because this is a technology that really also, and maybe primarily, serves the Pro AV market, those guys have different expectations about what a certification program looks like, and you know, they having people get some kind of a set of initials after their name or whatever that they can use. And so I'm looking at Andy. You know, Ames really is I think the group that came up with the brand IPMX. And so he and I have been engaged in discussions about how we provide something that's potentially more than what the JTNM tested program did, but I think might also leverage the resources that we have available in the JTNM tested program. Andy, is there something at this point you want to add to that? Here, hang on.
I mean, just a very small thing. I think that, just to add that, I think discussions are that certifications and having some kind of formal enforcement of the logo attached to the product and making sure that that awareness is in the consumer's mind, you know, so that we can, you know, have some weight behind it is definitely part of our discussions.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
So it should be more than just a little badge like we're getting with the JTNM tested event.
Yeah, I mean, the analogy that I like to use is that you can make a device that connects to a Wi-Fi router all day long and it works just perfect and it has 802.11 on it, but as soon as you put that Wi-Fi logo and you're not actually authorized to do so, you know, the wrath of Khan will come down on you, right? So that's sort of the model that I'd like to see us look at, so.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, and I think that that's important too, because in this, with regard to this, I think that the expectations of what it will do are going to be a lot higher than with 2110. And if we're going to hit any of those expectations, I think we also need to be sure that the implementations are doing what they ought to do, and that, you know, to Andy's point, that if somebody's got some sticker that gives some expectation on the part of the customer, I don't think we want vendors having to deal with customers that say, well, it ought to just work, and you know, your thing doesn't work with somebody who just slapped a logo on their product but didn't go to the same rigor that you did. So it's a more complicated discussion than it ever really has been around JTNM tested and kind of the work that we've done in the past, but that doesn't mean that we're basically inventing something new. We're looking at how we can combine these different elements that we already have to make an effective program, and I think add some new components to that as well. All right, anything else?
Questions?
Questions?
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.